topics and opinions expressed in the following show are solely those of the hosts and their guests and not those of W4CY Radio, its employees, or affiliates. We make no recommendations or endorsements for radio show programs, services, or products mentioned on air or on our web. No liability, explicit or implied, shall be extended to W4CY Radio or its employees or affiliates. Any questions or comments should be directed to those show hosts. Thank you for choosing W4CY Radio.
Welcome to the Ask the Expert show on W4CY Radio and Talk4 TV, where we bring you educational information from top local experts in the fields of legal, health, financial, and home improvement. Now sit back and listen to experts in family law, association law, hearing loss, business brokers, home care, along with many other topics. Now here are your hosts, Steve-O and Sophia.
Hey, good morning. Welcome to another Ask the Expert show where for the last 16 years, we have brought you top experts in the field of legal, health, financial, and home improvement. We have got a special show for you this morning. And first of all, I want to wish everyone they had a happy and merry and blessed Christmas. We've got New Year's coming up, and we think that 2026 is going to be an incredible year. But this show this morning, I really thought about it a lot because I just had a relative last night that passed away in St. Louis, and our expert attorney, Lance Drury, has offices in Missouri. He's in Nashville. He's in Tennessee. And we have been getting so many letters, people just thanking him for the way he communicates with our audience. We rarely have that, but people love the way he communicates, and they see what a hard worker he is, which means when he's handling your case with the IRS, the dreaded IRS, he is going to do a fine job for me. And I want to welcome attorney Lance Drury. And I'm going to tell people, I want you to make a New Year's resolution that you're going to stop putting your IRS problems in that special drawer, and that you give Lance Drury a call and finally get your IRS problems solved. Because here's a man, he's got a firm that can help you solve your problems. You're not going to do it yourself. Let me welcome you, my friend. I love doing this show, attorney Lance Drury.
Great to see you, Steve. Merry Christmas to you and Happy New Year. It's always good to be here. I love doing this show as well.
I got to tell you, we get so many complimentary letters about your show. You do 3 shows with us. You do a Texas show, you do a Tennessee, Missouri show, and you do a national show. And we've missed some shows due to the holidays, but we're going to make those up. Lance, you got some colder weather coming your way.
Well, Steve, you're not going to believe it. Yesterday I'm in Festus, which is halfway between St. Genevieve and St. Louis. It's in the low 70s. And of course, the weather report says by 3 p.m., it's going to drop to 55. We're going to have high gusts. So I got back home by about 3 o'clock. It didn't hit till about 4, and it rained, and it's down. It was 20 degrees this morning. You know, just hang around in Missouri, as you know, Steve, because you're familiar with St. Louis.
Yes.
The weather here can change on a dime, and it's I haven't been out yet this morning because I live in the back of my law office, but my legal assistants came in at 6:30 and 7 this morning, and they were telling me how cold it is out there. So I don't even know if I'm going to get out today.
You know, it's funny. It's not so funny. I'm here in Florida, and it's supposed to get into the 40s starting tomorrow, Wednesday and Thursday. And that is like your 20s and teens. I mean, people are shopping for wood, and it's only going to last 3 days with us, but it does get cold in Missouri.
I got to tell you, I was in Orlando for a seminar about 10 years ago in early January, and it got down into the low 40s. And those people were dressed like it was zero outside. But I get it. If you're not used to it, it's going to seem colder.
Exactly. Hey, Lance, listen, there are so many people out there that probably sometimes dread waking up in the morning. Like, what kind of letter am I going to get from the IRS tomorrow? Or, I mean, I have no idea what it feels like. You talk to these people every day when the IRS is after you. And the sad part about it is there's something that they can do about it. And I start off the show. I hope those people make a New Year's resolution to contact your office and put this behind them.
Absolutely, Steve, but that's the problem. My clients are procrastinators. That's what got them into this situation to begin with. They either didn't file their returns, or they didn't make their estimated tax payments, or they filed their returns, didn't have the money to pay it, and now they've got tax liability on the books, but they're not doing anything about it. And, I tell people during the initial consultation, you just don't pay me the big bucks and I magically make this go away. I have certain responsibilities to you, but you have certain responsibilities to yourself, and that's to get us the information we need. Because guess what, Steve? If all your tax returns aren't filed the last 6 years anyway, we can't get you a resolution. And if we send you financial statements and you don't fill them out and give them back to us, we can't get you a resolution. So you've got to take care of this. And I tell everybody, don't hire me if you're not going to do what we ask you to do, because you're just going to be wasting your money.
Hey, Lance, I got a letter this morning. We promote your show a few days out. And a gentleman who heard about your show, he's going to be listening this morning. He wants to know, if I hire your firm, will the IRS come down on me harder for hiring an expert?
No. Now,
I had no idea people even thought that way.
Oh, no, I know. And here's the thing. That's not true. But guess what? If they've called the IRS first, the IRS will discourage them from hiring a tax professional, because they know that the taxpayer doesn't know how the game is played, and they just squeeze every last dollar out of the taxpayer. And the reason I know that is people come to me and they think they can do this on their own. And they tell me, oh, I set it up, but I can't afford to make the monthly payment. And I go, then why did you agree to do this? And they said, because this is what the IRS told me I had to do. That is not true. This is all based on your ability to pay it back. 85 to 90% of our clients never pay back the full amount. 10 to 15% never pay a dime. It's all based upon your ability to pay it back. But it's a lot of work for the taxpayer. It's a lot of work for us, because we have to prove to the IRS that the taxpayer doesn't have the ability to pay the entire tax liability back to them.
Lance, also, I don't think people realize how many tools you've got in your bag to fight the IRS. There are so many. I think people be amazed when they come to your office and sit down with you and you go over everything that they owe the IRS. You've got many ways to fight them, don't you?
That's true, Steve. And I've got to tell you, when I was just a small town lawyer, I did 15 hours of continuing legal education a year. Now, myself and my other 7 attorneys, we do a minimum of 50 to 100 hours a year, because they're a bureaucracy. They're the government. Things change all the time. So you got to put in the time so that you keep up with this stuff. And so that's what we do here. And so, we go the extra mile for clients. It takes a lot of time. People think this is easy. Well, it's not easy. And we do have a lot of tools in our arsenal to see what's the best way to get everybody's problem resolved.
I think one of the greatest things that your firm does, Lance, is once someone signs up with you, they never have to talk to the IRS again. And I got to tell you, I've learned from your show that you can say, not knowing, you could say the wrong thing to the IRS, which helps them even more. But they don't have to listen to the IRS. You handle all that for them.
Yeah, in fact, we don't want them talking to the IRS.
Yes.
Because then we don't know what's going on. That's what they hired us for. And I've got to tell you a little horror story. I had a guy several years ago. He owed $40,000 or a little more in tax liability to the IRS. I was able to get him into currently non-collectible status, which means he wasn't going to pay a dime back to the IRS. And in our closing letters to our clients, when we revoke our power of attorney, because we've settled the case, we tell everybody, now you're going to get a letter from the IRS that says you owe the tax, but it's just a yearly reminder they're not coming after you. Well, this guy didn't call me when he got that letter. He panicked. He called the IRS and he agreed to pay every last dime back. So just because he panicked and didn't call me first, he's out over $40,000 that he didn't have to pay back.
That's amazing. That is absolutely amazing. Let's talk about people that really procrastinate. You just brought it up just a minute ago. I've learned from you that a lot of people will put that letter from the IRS. And by the way, Lance, I want you to touch on, because people are getting robocalls, they're getting emails. That's not how the IRS works, is it?
No, normally the first notification you're going to get from the IRS is going to be by a letter. The other thing is you got to realize there's a lot of scam artists out there. They'll send this notice to you. It looks like an official IRS notice, but it's an 800 number or it's an 888 number, and there's no physical address. And it says at the bottom, we can settle for 10 cents on the dollar, whatever that amount is. If they had 100,000 that they owe, then it's 10. And I've had people even send those guys money because they threatened to come out and arrest them. It was a scam. So this guy comes into my office. He was local. And I said, give me the phone number. So I called him up because they called him back again, wanted more money, or they were going to come get him. So as soon as I identified myself as an attorney, they hung up on me. But yeah, you got to watch it, and you got to watch who you hire. A lot of those big national firms, they just take your money. They never tell you at the outset how much it's going to cost you, and then they don't do anything for you. So we try to get a hold of our clients once every 30 days, whether there's anything going on with the case or not. But you got to understand, things are so screwed up at the IRS. Everything is taking forever to resolve. It's been this way ever since the pandemic. They were shut down for a while. Then in 2022, they had over 21 million plus tax returns that hadn't been processed yet. So they diverted half of the automated collection system, which is where the bulk of cases are in the IRS, to take care of processing all these returns. And it's still a mess. I mean, this government shutdown is, again, put everything behind. They're not even going to schedule collection due process hearings until next month, and they've been back for a month and a half already. So it's just, the IRS is more screwed up than I've ever seen, Steve. The only thing as bad as the IRS is the Postal Service.
Hey, and Lance, we talk about individual, but you also handle businesses too. And I'm going to tell you something. If you're a business owner, try calling the IRS and sitting there on hold for hours. Why put yourself through that when you can retain a firm like Lance's firm and they can handle all that for you?
Yeah, in fact, Steve, I'd say 70% of my clients are self-employed. Those are the people that get in trouble because the taxes aren't automatically taken out. And so the biggest mistake self-employed people make, and this is why they need a tax professional, is they don't want to get levied. So they call the IRS, they set up an installment agreement, and it's for every last dollar that they owe. And then there's no money left over to make their estimated tax payments for the current year. So the liability just pyramids and they just get into worse and worse shape every single year. So what you have to do is, if you're self-employed, I'm giving people the best advice I can for self-employed people, and it's all free today, is make those estimated tax payments first and then set up a payment plan, because those estimated tax payments are an allowable expense in determining the taxpayer's ability to pay on the back taxes. So if you're paying $1,500 a month on estimated tax payments, that's $1,500 less a month you're going to have to make on your payment plan to the IRS. So it's a win-win for the taxpayer. He stops the hemorrhaging. It's going to be compliant moving forward, which you have to do, and you're going to get a better deal on the back taxes.
Lance, explain to people, once they sign up with you, what's the next process?
Well, what happens is they're going to sign a power of attorney. They're going to sign an engagement letter. That power of attorney goes to the IRS. In the old days, it took 7 to 10 days to process. Now it takes a minimum of 20 business days for that power of attorney to process, which basically means a month. And then after that's done, we have special software that goes into the IRS systems. They don't even know that I'm in there. I'm not going to call them up. That just puts my client on their radar. And I can go all the way back to 1990 and see the whole history and chronology of their case with the IRS. Because what happens a lot of times, Steve, in the initial consults, people will tell me what their problem is. And guess what? 50% out of the time, they're exactly right. But the other 50%, they know what part of their problem is, but there's more going on, more unfiled returns, more liability. You know, are they in a position, the IRS is already in a position to levy because those notices have been sent to the taxpayer, and being the procrastinator, they didn't do anything about those letters. So yeah, you got to take care of this problem. Just give us a call. We're a 4.8 out of 5 in St. Louis on Google reviews. We're a 4.9 out of 5 in Nashville. So, you know, we keep growing the business. We got more than 1,000 clients at any one time. I'm 72 years old, Steve. I know I don't look like it, but I am.
You don't.
And I hope I'm doing this 10 years from now. And we just opened another office in Houston, Texas. And we start on the radio in Houston doing commercials there the first of the year.
You know, I hate to do this, but I think we have to sometimes, Lance. Tell people what could happen if they keep ignoring the IRS. Because a lot of people think they're going to go away.
No, they're not going to go away. Now, things do fall through the cracks because they're a bureaucracy. And we run out the clock a lot of times because the IRS doesn't come after people. But if you get those levy letters and you don't do anything, they can wipe out your bank account. They can take 90% of your take-home pay. They can take 100% of your 1099s. And if you're on Social Security, they can take 15% before that check is deposited into the bank account. But once it's in that bank account, they can take the whole thing. So, you know, how are people going to live if they take their paycheck, if they wipe out their bank account? I had a guy in my St. Louis office several years ago, and he looked like he was half dead when he walked in. When he sat down, I said, "What's wrong?" He said, "I've been living in my car for more than a year. because the IRS is leaving me $200 to live on every 2 weeks.
Wow.
And of course, at that point in time, he couldn't afford to hire me or anybody else. If he had taken care of his problem like he should have, he probably would have paid little or none of this back to the IRS. But the IRS isn't going to go out and check on his financial situation. That burden's placed on the taxpayer to prove to the IRS they don't have the ability to pay the money back.
You know, I want people to know, because we do a lot of due diligence here and we have clients, all different types of firms. But for some reason, in your area, tax relief, I have read a lot of these letters that people paid these big companies. And once they paid them, it was like pulling teeth to hear back from them. And it was so sad. And we've been doing this for well over a year now, Lance. And, you know, when there's a problem, we hear about it. I never hear of anybody complaining about your firm. And just because a company does a big national doesn't mean they're the best. I am telling you, I with all my heart, I feel like if you've got a problem with the IRS, you should contact the law firm of Lance Drury. We're running the phone number right now, but all the people listening on radio, we're going to be giving it to you. But Lance, I just feel so comfortable recommending your firm.
Well, Steve, and I appreciate that, and I hope they come to me. But I tell everybody, if they don't hire me, there's 3 rules. Hire an attorney that does this every single day. Accountants are great with the numbers, but we have seen accountants give horrendous advice to their clients because they just dabble in this. Number
Right.
2, go local. Go local. We have offices in all the places and attorneys in those places. And number 3, don't hire one of the big boys. There's a lot of scam artists out there. They just take your money and they don't do anything for you.
Yeah, exactly. Lance, you know, there's people out there, we talked about this before, who put that letter in the drawer. And we've also talked about today about what can happen if you keep ignoring those, because they can cause you a lot of harm.
Oh, yeah. And I had a guy that did this. He got a notice from a revenue officer, a 9297 summary of taxpayer contact, ignored it. And it says at the bottom, one of the consequences, if you don't get me this information by this date, is we're going to levy. And that's exactly what they did because he ignored the letter. You cannot put your head in the sand and ignore these letters from the IRS. It's not a good idea.
How far back in the IRS go, Lance?
Well, as far back as liability. Now, there is a collection statute expiration date. It's normally 10 years from the date the tax is assessed. But there's so many things that can stop the running of the statute on collections that we have to calculate for each tax liability period what that is. However, if you don't file your return and the IRS doesn't file a substitute return for you, the clock hasn't even started.
Amazing. Let's tell people how they can, you know, we're running your phone number throughout the show, but we have so many people on radio and iHeart and Spotify just listening to the show. How do people reach your office?
Well, you have the phone numbers there, but just go to lancedrurylaw.com. You'll see all the phone numbers for our offices there, and there's a wealth of information there. Get you educated on how to deal with the IRS. You'll see all the testimonials that the firm has received. And like I said, Steve, it's always a pleasure to be here. Happy New Year.
Same to you. Now, you have offices in Tennessee, Nashville, Texas. I am trying and hoping to get you to come to Florida. We have so many people here who have tax problems.
I think I've told you, Steve, the next stop is Miami and LA.
Oh, I hope you come here, Lance. Lance, you know what? You're a good person. I am so blessed to have you. I want you to have a happy new year and keep helping the good fight out there.
I'm going to keep fighting the good fight, Steve. Don't worry about that.
God bless you. Hey, Lance will be with us several times next month, and we'll be letting you know those dates. Lance, again, Happy New Year, and we'll see you next month.
Take care.
That's attorney Lance Drury. Folks, I'm telling you, if you've got an IRS problem, give Lance a call. That's going to do it for us today. Happy New Year to everybody. Hey, we'll see you again next week with more Ask the Experts.
Thanks for tuning in today to the Ask the Expert show on W4CY Radio and Talk4 TV. Tune in next week and every week to hear more from our experts on personal injury, insurance, air condition repairs, estate planning, Medicare, and many other topics in the areas of legal, health, financial, and home improvement. See you next week.